I think that it is time to get this show on the road. Appreciate everybody being here. We've got a fantastic presentation in store for you tonight. If you're just joining us, we've got a lot of new information to go over this evening, so we're going to do our best to do it in a timely manner. But I tell you, it's hard to keep up right now. We've got a company that's absolutely on fire, so we're going to be getting into all of that information. Jennifer Knoll, are you excited after going to the event this weekend? How excited are you? Tell me. I just want to know how excited were you?
You know what? I am a changed person.
Oh,
and
I like it.
I am so glad I went. It's so important to be at something to be able to grasp it, because I actually was in this blindly, like, okay,
Well, you know what?
trusting, but it was magnificent.
Well, we talk about trust but verify, right? And Boomy, you had a chance to go out to the event this weekend. So do you feel like you had the validation that you were looking for at this event?
It's funny because I already knew we were like the best kid on the block, but it was just even more verification. It's like, I didn't think it could get any better, but my mind was expanded. Like, the things that I found out about what we have, nobody can touch us, and it will take decades for them to try to catch up.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. Brandon, did you feel like this weekend for you really brought some validation? I know you had a large group of people that came in that really specifically wanted to see firsthand, is this real? What's happening? Is there really tangibility behind a lot of these projects? Do you feel like they got what they were looking for?
Being there and just being able to meet Joe and the owners of the Debt Box, Jake and Jason Anderson, and just hearing their stories, man, really brought this to life, And I mean, the message that we're bringing to the world is that we're coming to change it. So yes, absolutely, man. What a great experience.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Eric Garrison, what about you, brother? I know that you had a chance to be able to witness these projects, and tell me, which licenses have you already jumped in on with the newest projects? You got to tell me. Everybody wants to know what Eric Garrison does, guys. This guy's he's out there in the forefront and owns over 400 licenses. Eric, talk to me. How did you feel about this weekend?
It blew my mind. It actually, it was really fun just to hear all the projects that are going on actively, and then to hear what they're bringing on board, and then also put the names to the faces and hear what they liked. And I'll tell you, I walked away from there. I love the BEV opportunity, and I've just been going crazy with that. That's, matter of fact, what I've been talking to my team, and I'm just like, hey, it's a great project. It's awesome. I mean, I like BLOX, don't get me wrong, but I really, really like the BEV project. I think it's great. And man, I'm on fire. I'm just absolutely on fire since that meeting was great.
So Ben Daniels, tell me, man, what are you feeling right now on these new projects? I'd love to hear from you real quickly here before we kick tonight's presentation off.
For sure. Yeah, every time I think I'm excited about this, and I'm around Jason and Jake a lot. So, our office is just down the road from his office. So I miss the early days when Billy and I first started and we worked out of Jason's boardroom, because he would pop in and give us little bits of information here and there and get us really excited. But hearing what's the quarterly quartering coming with BEV, I'm all in on that project. It's going to be kind of that quicker growth, I think, and seeing that token price move with the quartering is going to be awesome. But then BEV is a monster, BLOX is a monster waiting on that forever. So I kind of have to, my goal is to have 50 of every project. So I'm always pushing towards that. I'm all in on them.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody out. We're going to get tonight's presentation started. Ben, Eric, you guys, a few of you guys, if you're still around a little later as we get into some of those newer projects, I may ask you to chime in a little more on your thoughts as we move forward. Let me go ahead and get everybody muted out here so that we don't have any background noise. And with that, it is time to get this show on the road. Appreciate everybody being here. And let's go. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Travis Flaherty. I'm the Debt Box Ambassador. I've been involved with the company since June. First heard about the company as they were just introducing these X node projects to the world. And I can tell you that, I'm a big believer in what these guys are doing. I've had an opportunity to be able to travel with the owners of the company and to be able to see firsthand projects, our oil and gas projects. We've been able to travel to Africa and visit the gold concessions and the farms that support our grow token. And I can tell you that what these guys are doing is absolutely mind-blowing. And, we had a big X Node summit this weekend, and it was really all about validation. It was about bringing validation so that, people that are inquiring and looking and wanting to see firsthand if this is real, the feeling that I came away with after this weekend is just pride. I'm very proud to be a part of these companies. I'm very proud to be raising the bar in the digital currency space. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. First and foremost, I want to start with a disclaimer. You should know that I am not a financial advisor. I do not represent the company. I don't work for the company. I'm an independent distributor. The information that I'm going to share with you tonight really is my personal opinion. It's for education purposes only. At the end of the day, we're providing you with additional options in life. And I can't stress enough the importance of educating yourself, making well-informed decisions. We do not offer any ROIs or any guarantees. Past performance does not guarantee future results. We're going to share some of the success that debt has experienced up to this point, but you should know that there is risk involved in the digital currency space, just as there is with any stock market, 401k. I mean, go look at your 401ks right now and know that they're 301ks right now at this point in many cases. And so there's risk in anything that you get involved with. And so just please know that at the end of the day, it's very important that you take the time to be able to learn and make well-informed decisions. Now, what we do offer is education, software, and hardware. Again, we encourage you to do your own research. Getting involved in any financial market involves risk or loss. We do not promise or guarantee any income or particular results from the use of the information that you've contained tonight. We do kind of have a philosophy which we encourage people not to go into debt, to get involved in any business or market, for example, and never invest money that you cannot afford to lose. So IX Global, the overall objective of the company is to innovate, to inspire, and to impact. Right now, it's an interesting time in the world. Times are changing, and I'd like to open tonight's presentation by saying that old ways do not open new doors. This is a new world economy that we're living in. And if we fail to adapt and we fail to innovate, I believe that we're going to continue to see people struggling and suffering. You have the stock market that is lost over $9 trillion last year. We're living in inflation rates or times of inflation that are some of the highest that we've seen in the last 40 years. And perhaps one of the most startling statistics is consumer debt is as high as it was during the Great Depression. So we are definitely in for some hard times. And with that being said, the world is changing, and even BlackRock, one of the largest wealth management companies, recently came out and said, we have to start taking new approaches to how we invest or look at our investments. And they're predicting another very challenging year economically in 2023. And so you have the baby boomers that largely contributed to the stock market throughout their entire lifetime that are now no longer contributing, but they're living off of those funds. And then you have the younger generation that's coming up that's no longer investing in things like the stock market. They're putting their money into Bitcoin. And so, the things that we've been taught, right? Put a little bit of money away every single month, save as much money as you can so that one day you'll be able to retire, no longer applies. And I'm going to say this, and again, this is just my opinion, but you can't outsave inflation. You cannot outsave the devaluation of the dollar. And so with that, you have to start thinking differently. And that's really what this presentation is all about tonight. IX Global is a very successful company that's been in business. This is our third year. The first year, we generated $4.6 million in sales. Our second year, we generated approximately $20 million in revenue. And guys, we just finished up at over $206 million in revenue, operating in many, many countries now around the world. We are now the fastest growing direct sales company in the entire world. And that has largely contributed to the information that you're going to be hearing tonight. So the objective and goal for this year is 500 million. And I believe that we will not only get there, but we are going to far surpass that. So, again, we talk about what's going on in the world today. The US stock market lost over $9 trillion last year. And many experts like BlackRock estimate that it could be as high as 24% additional losses in 2023. Smart money diversifies in a down economy. Anytime that there's a recession, most people typically don't like to leave all their eggs in one basket. They're looking for a few different things. They're looking for what we call stored value. Stored value is where you can put your money where it's not necessarily going to diminish, right? If you think about right now, if you put your money in the bank with current inflation rates and the devaluation of the dollar has lost approximately 86% of its value since it was removed from the gold standard back in the early 70s. And you think about that, and you think, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but going to the grocery store and looking at a dozen egg, the cost of a dozen eggs right now absolutely blows my mind. And again, that's why I say that you can't outsave inflation. You look at the Federal Reserve in our banking system, and some could argue that there's a lot of corruptness that's going on there. They take your hard-earned dollars that you invest into the bank. They continue to print more and more money, which devalues your dollar. But what are they doing? They're taking your money and they're investing that money. And so tonight's presentation and really my message for you this evening we've got to start thinking like the banks. We've got to figure out how can we put our money to work for us. There's only so many hours in the day. So it's about taking the money that you are making, putting that money to work and developing income producing assets. This is residual income that allows you to be able to do the things that you want to do rather than the things that you have to do. And that really is the way that we are going to combat what's going on in the economy today. I want to talk just briefly about the history of IX Global for a moment, and then we're going to get into the X Node conversation for a large part of the presentation. First and foremost, IX Global is a digital education platform. We are a social application for digital entrepreneurs. We help people learn in areas such as financial markets, e-commerce, blockchain and NFTs, community and leadership and technology, and social networking. The financial markets, we have great education, over 300 hours in our community of professional material and courses, education in several languages. You receive live education from our experts with great results. We post those results on a weekly basis. You can learn how to literally copy and paste trading signals that help you to be able to potentially go out and start generating income. And you can learn investing from a basic to the most advanced level. We get into trading and binary options and synthetic indices, Forex. And then, of course, we also have wonderful e-commerce education. The world today has moved from a brick and mortar to a click and order society, right? You're seeing more and more businesses. I always, the example that comes to mind, because it was such a big part of my childhood, was Toys R Us. I used to love that store. And Toys R Us, when they shut down, it was kind of like I just see this happening where everything is moving to online. My wife and I were talking the other day, and we have 6 children, a couple of young ones still, and it's getting harder and harder to go shopping to an actual store that has clothes anymore. You either have to go to a department store or you have to order the clothes online, because these brick and mortar stores just aren't making it today. But what that does is it creates an opportunity for the digital entrepreneur, somebody that wants to learn how to be able to open up an e-commerce business. And so we have platforms and education that will teach you how to connect your digital online e-commerce store and an academy where experts will teach you how to go through that entire process. And then, of course, we have DebtBox, the exclusive partnership that was created with DebtBox here this year. And I'll tell you, it has been just a force to be reckoned with. DebtBox as a company is 15 years in the making. It was established by Jason and Jake Anderson, and it has 2 sides to the company. It has a physical side and it has a digital side to the company, and it's run by the Debt Council. People ask me all the time, well, really, who owns DebtBox? At the end of the day, the Debt Council makes the decisions for DebtBox, but it's set up in such a way that it'll go on indefinitely. And it's largely made up of the people that are involved in the projects. And so Debt is an exciting new company, a new approach to cryptocurrency. It's no secret that in the cryptocurrency space, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of projects, tokens, and coins that have no true utility, which is purpose. They have no intrinsic value. You have coins that are ridiculous, that were created as a joke, that were pumped up through communities like Reddit. Then you get celebrity influencers that are paid to go out and start, talking about these on social media. And all it does is it drives the value of these projects up. And the major holders of these coins and tokens eventually sell. And what happens? The bottom falls out of the market, the rug's pulled, and many people end up losing their money. Currently, 4% of the world has a cryptocurrency digital wallet that's projected to grow to 10% over the next 12 to 24 months. And so I find myself asking, what is going to be the catalyst that moves that needle from 4% to 10%? Because anytime that you see that kind of growth, that also creates opportunity. I'll go back to the late 90s when AOL was first introduced, and they were having a hard time getting people to buy into it, to the concept. But if you look between 2000, the late 90s to 2010, the growth rate was significant, and the internet changed the entire world. And I believe that digital currency and blockchain technology is already doing the same thing. In fact, if you were to lay the growth rate of the digital currency movement on top of the online movement, if you will, when it was first introduced, you see almost parallel growth patterns. And so I believe that the key factor that's going to move that needle from, let's say, 4% to 10% to eventually 20% is substance over hype, tangibility over speculation. I'm going to say that again: substance over hype, tangibility over speculation. What people want to see is real world value. They want to see less and less volatility. It's a market, it's going to fluctuate, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. A true asset should not fluctuate 80% just because Elon Musk tweets about it. And so the purpose and utility of DebtBox is to bring real world value into the digital currency space through the projects that they introduced that are backed by real world commodities and real world projects that are in high demand. And you're going to hear about some of those projects tonight. The idea here is to create a decentralized, eco-friendly blockchain technology. If you look at the initials there, that's where debt comes from. The main focal point of debt is to help people get out of debt. Debt is it is plaguing our society. The more and more that we become slaves to debt, the more and more that we get into credit card debt, the more and more we find ourselves just losing our footing. It was heartbreaking to me when I was reading this post or this article the other day, and I read that the average home now, if you were to go buy the average home in America, the average American family is spending approximately 46% of their earnings annually to be able to pay their mortgage payment. Guys, that just doesn't add up. I mean, it doesn't add up at all, especially as we are paying $9 in some cases for a dozen eggs. And so that's the whole focal point here. And what we are doing is we are giving people an opportunity to get involved in something that we call mining. I don't want you to get too caught up on the terminology that's used. If you don't quite understand it, it's okay. We're going to explain it at a very basic level. In cryptocurrency, you have something called blockchains. And all that is just a chain, a ledger of all of the transactions that take place. And in cryptocurrency, what they've done is they've eliminated the banks. They've eliminated these people that are in the middle of these transactions that have their hand in your pocket, that are essentially regulating all aspects of banking. How many of you love to go into the bank and anytime you withdraw money, they want to know what it's for? Anytime you deposit money now, they want to know where it came from. How many of you love go and send a wire and they want to know why you're sending it? And in some cases, won't even send your money because they don't want you to buy digital currency. How does that make you feel? That is the reason why cryptocurrency is becoming more and more prevalent. It's faster, it's more efficient, it's cheaper. The other day, I was trying to get a larger wire to someone, and I could not get the bank to send the wire. It was literally the scrutiny that I was going through. They put a hold on it, and I turned around and I sent Bitcoin, and it got there within a matter of 60 seconds. It cost me 15 cents to send. For those reasons, digital currency is going to become more and more prevalent. And I'm going to make a prediction here. I believe that, in my lifetime, if not my lifetime, certainly my son or my children's lifetime, we will not be handing people fiat currency anymore. I was at a resort this weekend where they don't even accept fiat currency. It's not even a thing. You either pay with your Apple Pay or you pay with your debit or credit cards. We have things like PayPal and apps like Cash App and apps like Venmo now, where we're sending money to and back and forth from each other. So this is the direction that the world is heading. And so with blockchain technology, all that's happening here is that when these transactions take place, there still has to be a way to validate them. And so what debt has done is they've taken something that was very complicated. Mining used to be very complicated. You had to buy equipment. The energy consumption was ridiculous. You had to, run a very, very cool air-conditioned room so that the equipment didn't burn up. And they've taken all of that and they've now created a way that the average person, you and I, can get involved and benefit in that same process through software mining. We call it cloud mining. And all we're doing is we're selling software licenses. You buy a license that allows you to be able to essentially start mining. You join the network of other licensee holders. We call them node holders. And your software does all the work for you. It processes these transactions and you receive rewards every single day. So it's a great way. I'm very excited about it because I'm busy. I run a successful business and I don't have time in many cases to go start up another business and operate all of these things. And so I love the idea that I can put my money to work in these areas. What makes us different? Let's talk a little bit about this tonight, because this is really important. First of all, let's talk a little bit about supply and demand. So in basic terms, basic economics, anytime that you have a large supply of something and a low demand, the price is going to be low, right? Because there's just not a big demand for it. But the minute that the supply goes down and the demand goes up, think about Christmas time and some of the favorite toys. Think about things like PlayStations, or think about things like, certain types of dolls. When I was growing up, you had, I can't think of the names right now, but all these different types of dolls that everybody wanted, and people would sell them for crazy prices. Why? Because the demand was high and the supply was low. That's basic tokenomics. Well, first and foremost, and that applies in a big way here within our projects. First and foremost, every project that we have is backed by real world commodities or real world projects that are in high demand. So they're not speculative. Every one of them can be validated. What we do is we go out and we, through the physical side of our company, we provide a tremendous amount of value. In one case, we're going to be talking a little bit about our scan technology here in just a few minutes. And our scan technology allows us to be able to save exploratory companies in the oil and gas industry a tremendous amount of money by pinpointing these different commodities with unbelievable accuracy. We can do this with just about any element on the periodic table. We can do it with aluminum. We can do it with precious metals. And that allows us to be able to save them a tremendous amount of money. And so how are we different? What we do is we provide value. They're very grateful to partner with us because of that value. And we receive a royalty. We don't receive a profit because we don't want to be tied to whether or not they're profitable. We receive a royalty off of the top of all of the revenue that they generate. And those royalties are what supports each one of our projects. Those royalties are what back our token. Those royalties essentially help to reduce the volatility in the market. Now, how do they do that? They do that through what we call is a burn. And this is so brilliant. I have to tell you, the way that they run their tokenomics. So as those royalties come in on a monthly basis, what we do is I want you to think about each project almost as a separate company. And each one of these projects has their own trust. And the entire purpose of this trust is to buy up tokens in circulation and send them to a burn wallet so that they can never be used again. So going back to supply and demand for a moment, I want you to think about this. If you have a limited supply of tokens, a set amount of tokens that will go into circulation, it's not like the dollar where they continue to print money over and over and over again. You have a set amount of tokens, and you have a trust that the sole objective is to take the money that comes in, the millions of dollars that come in from each one of our debt partners, and we have many around the world, and essentially buy tokens up out of circulation. What's happening? You have a growing demand, but a diminishing supply. Think about this. What happened to the housing market recently over the last couple of years when you had low inventory and you had a high demand? What happened to the value of the prices? Skyrocketed. In the same way, these deflationary mechanisms are happening within our tokens. And that in itself is designed to be able to sustain and help sustain value, to help reduce the volatility that we've seen in the cryptocurrency space. Think about the US dollar again. Going back to the 70s, it was backed by gold. You couldn't print a dollar unless you had gold that was supporting the value of that dollar. In the same way, the royalties that are coming in from our projects are supporting the value of each one of these tokens. And so that is how we are different, guys. We are doing things that nobody has ever done in this space before. And it's the reason why millions, guys, nearly 2 million licenses have been sold in under a year, just over a year, as a result of us bringing tangibility into the marketplace. So we work to reduce the volatility by supporting the tokens with real projects and real commodities. So what's the result been? Well, here is a graphic that was taken just a couple of days ago. This is our debt token. The debt token, and it's outdated because it shot up a little higher than that. It was at one point, I think, up to 37. I haven't looked at it here in the last couple of days, but I know it came down a little bit because everybody's selling to go buy the new licenses. But here's what's happened. So we launched debt a little over a year ago. This is our utility token that we pair all of our projects to. Debt is on, I think it's 9 different exchanges, 2 top 15, 1 top 5 exchange. The goal and objective is we're marching towards Binance this year. But we launched it a penny just over a year ago. And we peaked here just this last week at right around $36 per token. And many believe inside of our ecosystem, many experts believe that we could see debt go significantly higher this year, especially as we hit Binance. So I would challenge you to find any cryptocurrency project, any cryptocurrency coin or token in the market that has performed as the way that the debt token has performed over the last 12 months during a crypto winter. And it all comes back to real world value. It all started here with Black Gold. You know, Black Gold was our first project. We've spent, the owners have spent 15 years developing relationships in the oil and gas and gold markets. A lot of our projects are in Ghana. We have projects that are here in the United States as well. And we launched a project called Black Gold a little over a year ago. Some of the original investors are on tonight's presentation. Ben Daniels is one of those. You heard from him a little earlier on tonight. And Black Gold shot up about 110,000%. Now, I want to make a point tonight for all of our licensee holders and for those that are watching. Everybody asks me, well, what's the ROI? What's the ROI? What are you making daily? Here's the thing that most people don't understand. And I want you, if you're taking notes, this is something that you might want to write down. The decisions that you make in a down market and the coins that you accumulate during that same period of time have the potential to be able to help you build true wealth over the next few years. You know, I say that, and I'll use a couple of examples. So Bitcoin back in 2018, I've been involved in crypto for 7 years. And I remember, and some of you might recall, when Bitcoin hit a new all-time high at that time, which was 19,000. And people, they were just going crazy. And then it dropped to 3,000. Ethereum lost 92% of its value. And everybody was just, you know, all the I told you so people, you know, the naysayers of cryptocurrency came out of the woodworks. You know, I told you so, the bubble burst, it wasn't worth anything. And you had a few of us that were out there waving this flag saying, hey guys, now's the time to buy. I had people that were literally attacking me on social media because I was sharing that message, and I have a little bit of a following, and people were saying, man, how irresponsible of you to go tell people to buy with what's going on in the world. Well, it was Warren Buffett who said the time to buy is when there's blood in the streets. And so with Black Gold, you know, when the original people were buying licenses in the beginning, they were receiving about 40,000 tokens per day. And it was mining about $4 a day. The value of those tokens at that time, that was equivalent to approximately $4 per day. You know, I think that the original licenses were somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,500 or $2,000. Somebody might be able to tell me that was there in the chat what those prices were. But, you know, if you would have looked at that and said, gosh, $4 a day, man, I mean, that's going to take me, you know, 365 days a year. I mean, it could take me over a year before I get my investment back. But here's what happened. As people started to hear about Black Gold, and as the royalties started to come in, and as the burns started to take place, the value of Black Gold went up 120,000%. Now, those individuals that were mining 40,000 tokens per day weren't actually generating $4 per day anymore. They were actually generating $400 per day. The price just had not caught up to the value yet. So I don't look at any of our projects and say, what's my ROI going to be, especially from a short-term basis? I don't even really get into ROIs because, you know, I'm not allowed to talk about what they could be. I'm not a securities licensed, you know, financial advisor, but what I can talk about is what has happened. And so if you understand this concept of accumulation in a down market and the potential with projects that bring real world value to the table, like Black Gold, then you can understand how we were at one point, just a few months ago, we had created a millionaire every 3 days inside of our ecosystem. It all started with our scan technology. You know, we have the ability to be able to utilize satellites. We have the ability to be able to read the frequency of these different elements that are in the periodic table. We can pinpoint these elements to within a certain area, but then it's our proprietary algorithms that we've perfected over the last 5 years that allow us to be able to now pinpoint gold, for example, or aluminum or silver, any of these, oil, natural gas, to literally within 6 centimeters in the ground. And that's what makes this so special. You know, with Black Gold, one of our first projects that we found was a well in Nevada. And we scanned this old well that was drilled in the 50s and 60s. They thought it had gone dry. You can see the scan down there on the left-hand side. And the green was where they originally drilled. The pink is actually the new chambers that they didn't know existed back then. They didn't have this type of technology. In fact, the technology really hadn't changed much since that time. They were still doing, you know, just a basic seismic type of reading. And so what's happened is we found a new chamber that had over 400 million barrels of oil, enough oil to extract over 5,000 barrels of oil every single day. You know, from there, we've continued to grow. Now we have 17 new wells that we've just been brought online in the United States. that have been approved. We have 100 wells that are currently in process. In Ghana, we just received the first onshore offshore contract that the Ghanaian government has ever issued in the history of that country. Why? Because of the value that we are bringing to the table with the technology that we're doing. This is another project that's in Nebraska. Was fortunate to be able to go out with a group of individuals and be able to explore this particular property. This is a great story. This particular farmer has owned this land. It's 5,000 acres of farmland, literally in the middle of nowhere. You're driving and driving and driving on a dirt road, and you just see beautiful farmland as far as the eye can see. And as you're driving, you start to see, like up on the ridge, just a little bit of tiny little American flag. And then as you start getting a little bit closer, that flag starts getting a little bit bigger. And as you get closer and closer, all of a sudden you realize that this rig that looked kind of small at the time is humongous. It's actually one of the largest rigs in the world. This particular gentleman that owns this farm for the last 10 years had partnered with 2 exploratory companies. They knew through the testing that there was oil on this property. They drilled and they were never able to tap oil. He brought us in as the scan technology partners and said, look, if you help me locate this oil, I will pay you a royalty. We did the scan, found 17 targets, started with the largest, told him that he would find his oil at 7,260 feet, and at exactly 7,260 feet, we tapped into oil. Now we've just gone down a little deeper, below 9,000 feet, and tapped into a large 1,600 acre reservoir of oil and natural gas. The natural gas in this site alone is $1.7 trillion. And it was a real treat to be able to go there, listen to the engineer, the gentleman in the middle down here that runs the site, talk about how he didn't believe that the technology that we had was real until we showed him and shared with him the different readings that we had and ultimately the accuracy of this particular project. So it's pretty neat to be able to go out and to be able to witness these things firsthand. Here's a little glimpse of the.
So this is the largest oil drill that you can buy. These are the same ones that Exxon and the big oil giants are using to drill down. And it runs 24 hours, has 18 people, 12-hour shifts, they're rotating. And I don't know if you can see it yet, but right on the side there, you can see the black gold BGLD, baby. And
pretty neat to be able to go and experience that firsthand. So let's talk a little bit about some of the projects. I'm not going to get into every single one of them tonight, but we have introduced an entire ecosystem. And the best way to explain this is we're giving crypto enthusiasts, those that are really understanding that digital currency is the way of the future. And we're giving them an opportunity to be able to build portfolios. Instead of having just one project that you hope to get in at the right time, we have different projects involved in many different areas. You know, DLG is digitally linked gold. All of our precious metals will actually be backed by the physical counterpart of that particular metal. So currently DLG is backed by gold bullion that is in a vault. It's a little more conservative than some of our non-deliverable projects. When I say non-deliverable, we can't deliver you a barrel of oil. We can't deliver you natural gas, but those projects, in my opinion, have greater upside potential. So we have different projects with different risk factors. We have Grow, which we're going to be talking about here tonight. Grow is a wonderful project, and I got jumped ahead a little bit. Grow is a wonderful project that's backed by high-yielding agriculture. We'll kind of show you some of those different, what our farmers are harvesting, and ultimately how that works and how that ties into the Grow token. We've got a very exciting project that was introduced the second half of last year called Explorer. Explorer is our scan technology. Up to this point, we've been leasing space on Google Earth satellites. We actually lease space, costs us $75,000 per scan to scan an area. And then we read that scan and ultimately apply our proprietary algorithms to be able to pinpoint these different commodities. And companies hire us to do this because it saves them a tremendous amount of money. It really is the future of exploration. Another project that I love is Grow. Grow's kind of the Cinderella story here. It launched around the same time that natural gas, NATG, came out, and everybody was so focused on NATG because of what BGLD just went through. And so no one was really paying attention to Grow. As my friend Ricardo always says, nobody wanted to take Cinderella to the ball until all of a sudden one day, everyone's like, look at the price of Grow. What is going on over there? What's happening here is, and I've traveled out to Ghana, and we've gone to these different co-ops that we are supporting, and we are making a significant difference in the world, and it's really neat to see. We deal with soybeans, cocoa beans. We have just the cocoa and the cocoa beans alone. They export over $2.8 billion of cocoa beans every single year. Just to put things into perspective. And that, of course, goes into cocoa butter. Ladies, you guys know cocoa butter, right? So on soybeans, hemp is also a big part of this project. Carbon credits also ties in here. We help farmers become carbon certified. They can then sell those carbon credits back to oil companies that have to buy them to offset their footprint in the world. And as we continue to see more and more food shortages out there, I think that this is a brilliant project to be a part of. Having gone there, what I didn't really understand is the humanitarian side of this company. Our projects in 2023 alone will employ over 10,000 people. I was fortunate enough to be able to go into a local village there, and a few individuals had a chance to go and meet with the chief. And the chief's responsibility is to take care of his villagers, the people that live there. And when they went in to meet with him, they were able to speak to him. He sits up a little higher than everybody else, and he has his translators that are there with him, his counsel. And through his counsel, he said, "You guys are doing so much good here. I actually want to donate you more land." And, that was an incredible experience. And to witness firsthand the difference that we're making, the food that we're providing, the jobs that we are providing, it truly doesn't get any more fulfilling than that, right? I mean, true fulfillment comes from contribution. And that's exactly what we're doing. Caleb, are you on here tonight by chance, just out of curiosity? I don't know if Caleb's on here tonight. He is. He actually had a chance to go and meet with the chief, and I'd love to be able to see if he could share a little bit of his experience with you, maybe towards the end of the call, if he happens to jump on. So let's go ahead and keep the presentation moving. Another project that I'm very excited about is aluminum. Guys, if you go look up the demand for aluminum the last 10 years and look at the expected demand over the next 10 years, you're going to see that aluminum is in just about everything. And so with that, we've partnered with one of the largest bauxite, which is a clay that essentially ends up becoming an aluminum company in the world. They can be looked up, Ghana Bauxite Corporation. We've had an opportunity to be able to to witness firsthand in Ghana. We unfortunately, the day that we were going to go here, they were blasting. And so they came to us and they gave us kind of a digital tour, if you will. But this is the Ghana Bauxite Corporation, and it sits in these hills, and it's pretty incredible the amount of aluminum that they're producing every single year. Right now, we're on hill number 2. There's 5 hills in this particular region. We haven't even got, after I think it's 10 years now, they haven't even, gone through 10-15% of the aluminum just in hill 2 alone. There's enough aluminum just in these hills here to go for the next 100 years. They're currently increasing their production. They want to go 5x their production in 2023. So they have brought us in to help them accomplish that goal. And of course, we receive a royalty on everything that they find moving forward. So this is a wonderful project. It's both of these last 2 projects are relatively new. So you have a chance to get involved in the early stages when those licenses are still paying out higher amounts of those tokens. And if your objective is token accumulation, this is a great project to take a look at as well. So we've got a lot of different projects. Unfortunately, BGLD and NATG are sold out, but we just introduced 2 new projects that are coming out. And we have 12 new projects that are coming out in 2023 alone. So we currently have grow. The debt licenses are sold out for the year. You may see those resurface. There's still a few held back that might come out again late next year. That particular license is our most expensive license because, again, the price of debt has gone from a penny to over $30 per token. DLG is currently $1,500 per license. Aluminum is $2,500 per license, and Explorer is $2,500 per license. And then these guys were introduced this weekend. I would like to know in the chat, if you have picked up either a BEV or a BLOX license, I want you to write either BEV, I want you to write BLOX, or I want you to write both, depending on who has already jumped in and picked up one of these licenses. Oh, Caleb is here. Caleb, I'm going to come back to you here in just a minute, brother. So look at this. So we've already got, let's see here, Di and Robin, they picked up both. Donna and Bobby picked up both already. Eric Garrison, both. I just picked up a BEV, 2 of both. Ben Daniels picked up both BEV and BLOX. Guys, people are pretty excited about these particular projects. BEV is tapping into the $1.7 trillion beverage industry. And in fact, we've just partnered with a very large manufacturing facility. The video footage of those are coming in. They're there actually right now. And we are seeing the facility firsthand. And what's exciting is that they produce all kinds of different drinks, soda cans to bottles, you name it, you think of it. They manufacture these drinks, and these drinks are carried on the shelves in places like Costco and Walmart and 7-Eleven and some of the major establishments. Each one of these beverages will now contain a little QR code that when you scan it, it will actually take you to debt, and more specifically talk about the BEV license. So talk about validity. Walk into Costco, grab a can, scan it, and just look up and you'll see debt box right there. So I'm pretty excited about this. In fact, I want to see if I can bring on here for just a moment Ben Daniels, because Ben, you brought up a very, very exciting part about this project, which was the quarterly burns. Why is that so significant? What makes that different?
Well, as we've all seen with debt, if you were a longtime debt holder, what's powerful about this in the very beginning of the project is when the majority of the tokens distributed and are mined. So that's why you want to don't hold off to get these licenses, get them. I always try to get as many as I can get right at release of the project, because in the typically first year is when the majority of the token is mined. And then after the first year, that will go down by half, and then half and half. So if you start with 100 million, then you're 50 million next year, then 25, then 12 to 5, or whatever. With BEV, they're doing something a little different. And what happens with the halving is typically as in the beginning, the majority of the token is distributed, but then the revenues from the projects is at this lowest point. Like for example, with Black Gold, in the very beginning, there were 1 or 2 wells that supported that project. Now we have over 17 and many, many more coming online. So as the Black Gold tokens are fewer and fewer are being mined every day, the value of that burn and the revenues from the project that supports that token goes up. Now, BEV is a little bit unique in that it's going to have revenues right out of the gates. This is an up and running facility. It's going to grow exponentially because of the support of the debt box, but they're trying something new and doing a quarterly quartering. So every 3 months, the amount of tokens is going to be reduced by a quarter and continue to go down, but the revenues are going to increase as well. So this will be a really nice project, I think, to see kind of an instant gratification. Some of these people are like, oh, I wish I had Black Gold. Well, yeah, we're a year, 13 months into that project, and BLOX will be the same way. A year from now, people will be saying, boy, I wish I had BLOX. Well, BEV, I think we're going to see a lot of really exciting activity right out of the gates. So I'm loading up. I'm going about 60, 70% BEV and the rest into BLOX on my allocation.
At $1,000 a license, guys, I want you to know, I don't personally expect to see that $1,000 stick around very long, especially with the amount of licenses that have been sold since Saturday. So if you want to get in on that project, I would definitely encourage you to do so. Caleb, I'd love to hear from you for a moment. Number one, while we have this slide up, I'd love to hear your thoughts on BLOX for a moment, because this is a huge opportunity here to be able to tap into the real estate industry. Do you mind sharing your thoughts on that? And then I'd also love for you briefly to share your experience of being able to meet with the chief firsthand on the Grow project.
Hey guys, absolutely. Can everybody hear me, Travis? You got me?
Yep, you're good to go.
All right. So yeah, thanks very much for the opportunity to share. So I'm excited about BLOX. So I want to share something with everybody. Yesterday, I had 2 real estate closings, okay? I sold 2 of my homes yesterday. I'm always moving real estate, and I'm clearing out some of my older inventory, waiting for this economy to crash to buy in the down market again this coming year, so I'm just doing business as usual. I signed my name between that dual closing on the same day about 100 times, literally almost 100 times. It's just paperwork upon paperwork upon paperwork upon paperwork. So there's 2 aspects to BLOX that we need to look at. So first off, remember that I literally had to sign my name dozens and dozens of times on all this litigational paperwork for this transaction yesterday. So let's keep that in mind. The first thing that I like about BLOX, and something that people need to understand about it, is how does it actually work? Everybody understands the satellite technology, they understand the scanning, they understand finding minerals, but how does BLOX work with real estate? So let's say if we can provide technology and blockchain services to people, and we can save them revenue on the cost of doing business. So if I say, hey, if I can provide this technology service and I can cut down on your cost of doing business and I can save you 20%, can I have 4 of that savings? That's where our royalties come from. So people understand how this program works. And that's pretty amazing. Now, remember all that paperwork I talked about? Imagine if all that paperwork is condensed down to simply just trading your NFT to the other person for the transaction itself. I mean, let's just think about that for a second, okay? Imagine just, hey, I got my crypto transaction for the property. Here's your NFT, and it's done. And that's the direction we're going. We're talking about revolutionizing the real estate industry. And this is going to happen with cars and many other things as well, too. But I really feel BLOX is at the forefront of the beginning of all of this. So it's really amazing to be a part of this technology. So that's a little window right there to how the backbone of the BLOX program compared to a lot of the programs backed by our satellite technology. And that gives you guys a window of opportunity to try to grasp how big this is going to grow into. So it's absolutely amazing and powerful. So
yeah, that's
to answer your second. Yeah, thank you so much. So to answer your second question, Africa, we were asking about our experience with the chief.
Yeah, please. Yeah, just give everybody a quick, just moment of what that was like.
Okay, so they're very rooted in tradition, and it's actually a very beautiful thing. So the chief of the village that we were at, they're actually called nanas. And you're not actually allowed to see him. You're not actually allowed to talk to him. Not everybody that goes there can just go see the chief. It's not that simple. So we had to get permission. And luckily, he was gracious enough to see some of us, and 4 of us were selected to meet with him. We got to go into his hut. Now, when I say we're in the wilderness of Africa, this was literally a clay hut with a thatch roof. I'm not kidding. There was no running water. There was no electricity. His multiple garments were hung up on hooks on the walls. That was his wardrobe, and we were able to meet with him. And he was actually very regal to an extent in how he carried himself. You could tell he was proud of his position there. He had earned it. But we could look at him, but we were not allowed to look at him and address him when we spoke to him. We had to speak to our interpreter, who spoke to their interpreter, who spoke to his chieftain, who spoke to him. And then he spoke back to the chieftain, back to their interpreter, back to our interpreter, and then us. And this was the chain that we had to talk through to communicate to him. So once again, very rooted in tradition, which was actually a very beautiful experience. But while we were there, he literally said to our group, seeing all these new faces here, all the people that came to the village, our big group, we brought in 50 people that day, and he saw 4 of us. But seeing all these people that came through, he says, seeing all these people tells me the progress that we're continuing to have. And I'm going to grant you guys the additional land, which was 10,000 additional acres to the GROW program. And we were just kind of sitting there like, you're kidding me, right? We couldn't really grasp the fact that this was happening the very moment we were sitting there. He was just opening up this door for further expansion, for us to bring in the roads we brought in, the water that we brought in, the aqueducts we brought in, the land that they were farming, the 25,000 acres they were farming. They were not even farming that land before our GROW initiative. Because of our GROW initiative, because of the infrastructure, partnering with the local communities there and everything we were able to do and resource, and bringing everything together with the coalition of the farmers, we're literally revolutionizing how they do business, providing more resource to them, increasing their crop growth with our technology. They're able to farm the same land twice a year because we're bringing everything in together in bulk and distributing it between the multiple farmers throughout the land. We're getting better prices. They can afford seed to farm twice a year. And these are all aspects of everything that was founded with our satellite technology, just even finding the fertile ground in the areas where there was water. So I could go on, but to be there in that moment with the chief and to have him recognize what we're doing and see how it's affected his community and the growth that it's doing for his community, and to be a part of that moment where they're literally we're literally changing how these people live and the opportunities for them in their lives. It was a very humbling experience. And to know that being a part of the debt box is not just an investment opportunity for me and my family, but it's actually something that's providing and giving back to people that need it and deserve it. I cannot tell you how powerful that has been for us.
Beautiful. Caleb Green, ladies and gentlemen, that was perfectly said, Caleb. Thank you very much, Ben. Appreciate your perspective as well on the BEV project, guys. I would not sleep on these prices. They will not last long. Gosh, man, Caleb, if only there was a way, you said there was no running water in these villages. Gosh, I wish we had a technology that could locate the water and maybe a token that was backed by the water that our technology could find. Who knows? Maybe we'll see something like that this year.
Yeah, maybe if we're lucky, we'll have something like that in the future, right? Maybe.
That's right.
Travis, not to
Sure.
take over, but I had a quick thing I wanted to add. So, Billy and I both come from real estate and mortgage, and one of the most powerful things that Jason said at the presentation was how this is going to change the real estate industry. We're not going to have title companies and mortgage companies and all these holdups, the difficulty of buying real estate because of the BLOX program. And Billy can probably add to that. He's been in the mortgage industry for 20 years, and how that's why we sort of jumped into this was because we know this blockchain is changing industries.
It is. And you know what? The thing about disruption, Ben, is you can either be a part of disruption or you can let disruption happen to you. And there is no question. There's no question in my mind that what we are working on, some of these projects that we're introducing in blockchain technology, is going to change many different aspects of the way that we operate and become more and more efficient as well. And so, Billy, I'd love to bring you in here in just a moment. I want to just cover this briefly here. So we have our rentals for those of you that maybe can't afford to buy a license yet. We do have different rentals that are available at different times and within our rental pool. So check with the person that sent you here, but you can get involved in a rental, spend $250. And on most of our projects, actually all of them right now, because Black Gold is no longer available on the rental side, you can rent a license for 60 days. And the accumulation during that period of time is yours. You can keep those tokens. And if you decide that after that 60-day period, you want to re-up again and go ahead and keep going and renting, you can certainly do that as well. So it's a great way to at least start accumulating token, even if you're not in a position. And I will say that there are a lot of the larger investors that are here that do a little bit of a mix. Of course, ownership is always the best place to be, just from the standpoint of owning the asset. However, in addition to that, I typically have 10 to 20 rentals that are going at any given time, because for a fraction of the price, I can accumulate or mass accumulate a large amount of token. And so there is some opportunity there to be able to do that. So just wanted to throw that out there as well. Guys, I got to tell you, this is something else that was announced this week. And I told you we had a lot of information to cover here, but within a matter of about a month, we are going to have introduced a new solution to some of the biggest challenges that people face in the cryptocurrency space. It's complicated. If you go open up an account with an exchange and then you try to send money to that exchange, guys, there are banks that are out there that if they find out you're sending money to an exchange, they will close your account. Why? Because it's competition. They haven't figured out a way to profit from it yet. And there are banks that are out there that literally will close your account down. It's actually happened to me. So, that's one challenge. Another challenge is when you load the money onto an exchange, how many of you have got that surprise message that says, hey, this is great that we have your money here, but you can't do anything with it now for the next 7 days. You can't buy anything with it. You can't do anything with it. And so they lock up and freeze your money. So what this is a solution. We've partnered with MasterCard. Once again, if you're looking for validation, look no further than to companies like Fleet, look to no further than companies like MasterCard to be able to see how big this really is. They have built out our entire ecosystem. We actually had discussions with all three of the top major credit card companies, and we chose MasterCard because they provided the best solution that we looked for. This card will have a number of different solutions. We've also partnered with the Royal Bank of Scotland. So you'll essentially be able to open an account with them, similar to opening a checking account. You'll get a debit card, or you can have a plastic card, or for those of you that know what it's like and feels like to put a little metal card down, you can also have the opportunity to be able to do that. And then for those of you high rollers, we do have a pure solid gold. They showed us this card at the event, a pure solid gold exclusive card. And all of these are a great way to spark up a conversation. And you'll be able to transfer money from your checking account directly over to another account. Essentially, it's like a checking account. No banks are going to have any issues with that. And then from there, you'll be able to swap into cryptocurrency and use your card against the cryptocurrency and the balance that you currently have here. So this is a really, really cool, innovative project as well. It'll be interesting to see if there is a project or token that ends up being supported by all of that. So who knows? We'll see where that goes as well. It's an awesome community, guys. At the end of the day, it's all about education. It's all about learning and educating yourself. This is a new world that we live in. You've got to start learning about these things that are happening, or you're truly going to be left behind. And for those that educate themselves, I do believe that there is a tremendous opportunity there. And part of that education is surrounding yourself with individuals that many that are on this call tonight, people like Boomy, people like Caleb and Billy and Ben and Brandon and Eric, and, I could go Ricardo and Mike. I mean, we've got so many amazing mentors, so to speak, that are part of our community that are out there educating every day. And in my opinion, even though these licenses are fantastic, there's value in being a part of just the community itself, because you immediately you get free access to all of these amazing people that are educating and teaching. We do a wonderful retreats. Right now we have a trip experience that is currently running where you can qualify to be able to go. I think the next one's in the Dominican Republic in late April. And so we have a lot of these fun activities that we do and get together and build the community. This was in Barcelona, literally just about 4 months ago. We do these twice a year. And it's just a lot of fun to be a part of this particular company. And so you have an opportunity here, actually really two. Number one, you can simply get involved and buy your licenses. All that IX Global does is help to facilitate that transaction with DebtBox. We have the exclusive license or exclusivity to be able to sell these licenses for wholesale. Once you get your license, you are set up directly with DebtBox, and everything is now paid through DebtBox. There's no requirement for you to stay active on the IX Global side if you don't want to. For those of you that are looking to launch a digital business, I can tell you that out of all the digital businesses that I've owned, and any business that I've owned, this has by far been the most lucrative and that has the lowest overhead of any business that I've ever run. And I know there's many individuals that are on here that would attest to that. And so we have a wonderful onboarding process, helping people to get plugged into our members only community, going through the getting started process, accessing the presentations like tonight, so that you don't have to be the expert. And that's the most important thing you need to understand about building the digital business is, as long as you can talk about the benefits of having an income producing asset, all the tools do all the work for you. You just put them in front of the right presentations. We have on the business side, guys, this is significant. If you look at the top 500 earners in the direct sales industry, currently, and by the way, this is 50 million plus network marketers around the world, every single network marketing company. If you go to Business for Home and you search IX Global, we currently have 119 of the top 500 earners in the world of network marketing. Guys, that's over 20% of the 500 that are here at IX Global. So that should give you kind of an idea of the opportunity that exists if you wanted to launch a digital business with us. And then, of course, if you look at the momentum ranks, for me, I always want to be a part of, I want to be a part of a company that's in momentum. There's nothing worse than being in a company that's stagnant. There's no growth. Maybe the products are a little bit outdated. And right now, digital is where it's at. Why? Because it's high speed, low drag. You don't have to worry about sourcing products and ingredients and shipping issues and all of the issues that many of these companies are plagued with. And so for that reason, we are now the #1 momentum company currently in the world today. Did over $206 million in sales last year. And perhaps the best part about being a part of a business owner with us is you can literally start a business for as little as $115. We have a few different options. If you just want to buy licenses and don't want anything to do with the affiliate program, it's pretty simple. Spend $50 one time, come in, that gives you a membership, kind of like Costco. Now you can access the nodes at wholesale. No requirements, no monthly minimums that you have to meet. That's it. If you want to build a business, $115 to start a business. This still blows me away a little bit, Billy. I'd love to bring you on here because I know that you are a serial entrepreneur. You're always starting different businesses, been wildly successful in a number of them. And, $115, I can start a business. I have no overhead, no expenses. I don't have to pay my rent. I don't have to pay for anything, really, no insurance. And the income that we've been able to generate, I know you've been able to generate, has been significant. So I'd love to get your thought on that. And I'd love to get your thought a little bit more on the BLOX and BEV licenses as well.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me on for a minute, Travis. I appreciate it, man. So I got in, I think it was like the 7th or 8th day after DebtBox dropped, called Ben, So sent Jason and Jake over to Ben's office a couple hours after they came by my office. We had been friends for a while. Caleb got in a few months after us, and we kind of grew from there. But this is a funny story, guys. And I'm going to be a little bit candid here. So, like I said, like I'd mentioned, we had got in super early, and in the very, very early days of DebtBox, there was a reward program. So essentially, if you referred somebody and they used their link to purchase licenses, you got a little bit of a reward. This was well before IX came on. There was no official sales force at the time. It was all grassroots, and we were growing the company out. So after a handful of negotiations, obviously later on down the road, me and Ben had, I mean, just to put it as frank as we can, we had retired off DebtBox. We no longer really had a need to work because we had more than replaced our income. And, coming from two guys that had been in the same industry, and I'll be honest with you guys, I mean, I was president's club at every company I worked for, sales manager at multiple places. I made a good living, right? So we were both able to replace that. And after a couple months of of sitting around and all the golf I could handle, I got a text from Ben one day as I was sitting on my couch in the same pair of pajamas, and he said, "Man, I'm losing my mind. Are you bored?" And I wrote back, I said, "Thank God you texted me that first, man, because I got to do something." So we reached out to Jason, and we didn't know at the time that Jason was already, like I said, kind of working on negotiations with IX, and we reached out to him. We said, "Hey, man, why don't you let us start a sales force or bring us in and, let us sell licenses. We're going out of our mind. And this is, it's changed our lives. And we'd really like to be able to get out and spread the word on this." And Jason kind of snickered like he does. And he said, "Well, I've already got something in the works, but why don't you guys come in and you could sit down and meet with Joe." I said, okay. Ben wasn't available that day. So I went and met with Joe, and I'm sitting on the other side of the table in Jason's office. And it was just me and Joe. I didn't know why I was there. And I don't think really Joe knew why I was there either. But as I'm sitting there, and I'm gathering information, I had never heard of the IX platform before. And guys, I've been offered to be in a lot of network marketing. I mean, I live in Utah, right? And I've never chose to go that route for whatever reason. It just, I had a career and it never really appealed to me. But in any event, so I'm sitting across from Joe, and we're talking back and forth, and he says, "Yeah, so, we're building this, bringing the licenses into a network marketing platform." And I joke about this to this day. And I texted Ben at that moment. I said, "They're doing a network marketing thing, man. I don't think that's for us." And a few weeks later, they launched the platform. Obviously, we had got some access, and I don't know how it happened, but I think we ended up getting a text or some kind of slide or something that was showing the natural gas licenses were at a significant discount with IX than what they were directly through DebtBox Retail. So I called Ben and I said, "Dude, we got to tell all our friends," because again, guys, the hype over natural gas, this is going to be such a big project. It was really looming around. And once the licenses got up, 30, 40,000, it was kind of out of the range for, your average person to be able to afford them. So we find out that DebtBox had them, IX had them significantly cheaper. And all of a sudden, our phones were blowing up. We had lines out our door in the office, and people were calling us. And I think it was 6 weeks straight that me and Ben didn't really see the light of day. All we did was sign people up. Well, little known to us. And again, we had no idea what network marketing was. We didn't even know what binary meant. No clue. So we're sitting at the table a couple of weeks later. Ben spins the laptop around because we have a joint account, and Ben goes, "Dude, look at this." And I looked, and in our commission bucket was well over $100,000. And I said, "Dude, what is that?" And he said, that's our commission. I said, I laughed. I said, from what? And he said, "Well, apparently we're network marketers." So, coming from two guys, and relating this out to all of you guys that are sitting there going, "Well, I don't know if I can sell this. I don't know enough about crypto to sell crypto. I don't know, what process to use to get people interested." We did it on accident, guys. If we could do it on accident, every single person on this call can do it with dedication and the tools that Travis has provided. We use a lot of those tools now. We've used a lot of the videos. We've been fortunate enough to go on some of the trips and use those things. But Travis, leading back to your point earlier, that you asked me to come on, and guys, this is a real world opportunity. This is a career in the making. You know, the thing that kind of hit me the most about this entire opportunity as well is there's 12 or more projects slotted to come on this year, guys. So, you know, think about that for a second, right? Is the amount of opportunity, and debt box is still very small in relation to, let's call it, a US market, right? You know, you guys have unlimited potential right now to literally make an unlimited amount of money. And everybody loves buying ATMs. You know, you're selling a money tree. So, you know, given that aspect, I just really want everyone to understand that, I mean, we weren't even trying, and we had enormous success. Now you guys have so many tools, these Zooms with all the great information coming from Travis, the marketing that IX has provided. Definitely take advantage, guys, because there isn't another opportunity like this. You know, now, you know, speaking about the projects real quick. So as it turns out, I'm a little close to home on the BEV project because my wife is actually sets up venture capital deals. And as it turns out, we own a little piece of that brewery in Mississippi. So here's what I can tell you. And this is information, you guys, you aren't going to read in a light paper. This isn't information you're not going to get on a call anywhere. So if this is being recorded, that's great. You guys can kind of relay this out. But basically, the manufacturing plant went from a 2% of their what they were able to manufacture and produce, and the contracts that they've signed over the last handful of months in this project are getting upwards now of 98%, which in terms of millions, it's a lot. So if you're looking for a good place to put your money, like Ben mentioned earlier, you know, this project's going to be fast moving. I've seen the contracts, and I really believe in this project. Secondly, the blocks, you know, Caleb kind of hit it on the head for way down the line, you know, when all properties kind of flip to NFTs and we get rid of title companies, the amount of savings that's going to be there. But I think, you know, coming from a 20-year mortgage business myself, the money that's going to be made as far as we talk about royalty is the average interest rate on these loans is upwards of 9%, and 2.5 points up front, which basically means if you're borrowing $1 million, that's $25,000. And these loans are renewable every year, which means the fees have to be repaid every year. They're pushing this lending up to a total lending block of about 500 million. So if you guys can do an average in your head, 9% on an average loan amount every year, you know, or loans out of 500 million with 2.5 points rotating, it's a lot of money come into those royalties. So BLOX is going to be a monster.
Love it. Thank you, Billy. Appreciate you being on here tonight. I appreciate everybody being on here tonight. I know we've gone a little long, so much information, so many things happening. Decided to take my time tonight and make sure that we did a thorough overview and explanation of what's happening here. Looks like many of you or most of you stayed on here tonight, so I appreciate you sticking with us. Just a lot of excitement, tremendous opportunity to be able to capitalize on what's happening here at IX Global. And so from this point forward, here are your options. Number one, you can simply buy a license in a node. You can spend $50. That'll allow you to be able to access these licenses on the wholesale side. You get back to the person that invited you here. They can help set up your membership. And then from there, you can go ahead and choose which projects that you want and how you wish to get started. And then, of course, if those of you are looking at building a business, we have a $115 option that allows you to be able to essentially become a quote unquote member or an affiliate. And that allows you to be able to qualify for the fullness of the compensation plan. We do have a 145 option for those of you that are interested in the trading and the education and the e-commerce and the Forex side of things. And so if that's you, then you can certainly choose the number 3 option. So you decide whether you're a 1, 2, 3. If you want to just participate on the licenses, you're a number 1. If you want to participate in the the referral program, the affiliate program, you're a number 2. And if you want to participate in everything, then you are a number 3. So get back to the person that invited you here. Let them know if you were a 1, 2, or 3, and they will help you move forward from here. So with that, I appreciate you guys being here. These are done Wednesday on a regular basis. We have different leaders that are going to be contributing to our Wednesday night overviews at the corporate level. So you can count on this every single week. Go invite a few friends. Say you're not going to believe what's happening. I've got to show it to you, and invite them back here next Wednesday. So with that, thank you guys very much. Appreciate everybody that kind of chimed in tonight. That was kind of unscripted. I just saw a bunch of smiling faces and people that contribute a lot of value. And so just started bringing everybody on, and I sure appreciate it. So with that, you guys, let's take care. Let's have a wonderful 2023. And it's exciting to be a part of this movement with all of you. You guys have a wonderful evening. Take care.